Education is said to be the bedrock of development in any society. It plays an important role in the growth of a nation. It is therefore not out of place to say that the socio-economic status of any nation is largely dependent on its educational capacity. Several challenges, however, confront the education sector, making it impossible for it to deliver on its inherent promises of a thriving society. Education is believed not to be a privilege, but a right that should be available and accessible to everyone, regardless of gender, religion, or status. This has been the approach adopted by the current administration in Ogun State under the visionary leadership of Senator Ibikunle Amosun. Thus, since assumption of office, this administration has consistently sought out ways to improve on the facilities on the ground, as well as initiated policies that would change the face of education in the state so that the glory of yesteryear can be recaptured. Upon assumption of office, the government of Senator Ibikunle Amosun took immediate steps to tackle the enormous challenges facing the educational system in the state. Worthy of mention is the flag-off of the policy of free and qualitative education, as well as the payment of outstanding dues owed by the immediate past administration. Other steps include renovation of dilapidated schools, distribution of instructional materials to pupils and students of government-owned primary and secondary schools, purchase and distribution of textbooks on all subjects to all pupils and students, training and retraining of school teachers, and, to top it all, construction of model schools cutting across the 3 senatorial districts of the state, amongst others. However, it is also said that education for all is the responsibility of all. Thus, the Ogun State government has continued to explore all avenues in order to ensure that the education sector thrives. One such is the partnership with relevant stakeholders to further boost the level of education in the state. Among those that are yielding good result is that of the State Universal Basic Education Board, Subeb. Through the Subebs, each state of the Federation can access funds from the federal government in order to improve the provision of primary and post-primary education to its pupils. However, over the years, the Ogun State Universal Basic Education Board was underutilized. This was due to the non-payment of the counterpart funds by the state government, the basic requirement to access the federal government subvention for basic education. To this end, the contributions from the federal government has remained unaccessed, with the funds lying fallow at the central bank. Chief Muftau Akonde is the executive chairman of the Ogun State Subeb. He explains what was on the ground before this administration and what actions were taken by the present administration to access these Subeb funds.
The state government has not done anything in the education sector. They have neglected the education sector in its entirety. They did something last in 2007. So the federal government in Subeb and UBEC, the federal government will pay 50% of the fund, while the state will pay 50%. The federal government pays its own 50% as far back as 2007, but the state government did not make use of it, because they could not pay their own counterpart fund. But when my governor came on board, he sourced for the fund and he paid the 50% in order to access the matching grant of the federal government of 50%, which has been lying fallow at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Abeokuta, for about 4 years. The counterpart fund paid is 1.6 billion naira. Just to get 1.6 billion naira of the federal government. So we went for 3.2 billion naira contract and projects.
Due to the state and condition of most of these schools in every part of the state, the Ogun State Subeb decided to spread its intervention across every ward in each local government of the state.
We have to do research, go into all nooks and corners, which schools are most deplorable. So we went into that, and that delays only little. So the contract could not be awarded until 11th of April 2012. We awarded the contracts, at least 2 projects in each ward. So we awarded 500 contracts into 500 schools, 124 schools for new structure, new building, and 376 schools for renovation. We were able to build 278 classrooms, new classrooms. And we were able to renovate 1,234 classrooms in 376 schools, 124 and 376, making 500 schools. What that means is that we did 3 schools in some wards.
This intervention has added to all other efforts of the state government to make education both more accessible and qualitative in Ogun State. The results of an improved educational system is already being seen in the actions and performance of pupils and students in the state.
Our students, our pupils from Ogun State came first in the presidential debate last year in July in the Southwest, and we came 5th in the country. Our football team for the female in the primary schools came first at Iwo last year, and that earned us that golden cup. And the presidential debate earned me the most innovative chairman of the year 2012. We went on. The governor was highly moved, and the 33 pupils who participated in both the presidential debate and football match were invited to the governor's office, and they were each given a laptop, letter of commendation, and some amount of money.
An Omo art competition for primary school pupils in Ogun Central Senatorial District was recently organized by Unilever Nigeria PLC, in which pupils who emerged first, second and third were presented with checks after the competition. A check was also presented to the best school amongst the schools that registered for the competition. To further improve and strengthen the academic standards and performances of the pupils at the primary levels as well as students in junior secondary school, the board decided to introduce the unified exam system, which will ensure uniformity in learning and ensure that the school curriculum is being properly implemented in all schools across the state. It also assesses pupils and students' coverage of the curriculum.
The governor said we should go into unified exam to test the competence of both the pupils and the teachers. So we started the unified exam last March, second term. We did the first one second term, and the last one has just been done just a week ago. That is third term, end of the year. And that will actually prove that the teachers and the pupils are really working. And it will put the teachers on their toes, it will put the pupils on their toes. The parents will also want the pupils to come to school regularly in order to learn and pass the exams. The teachers will not want to lag behind. They will want their pupils to learn and pass. They would like to teach them in order to pass, because this is a unified exam for the whole pupils of Ogun State, and it will show them whether they have performed well or not.
Subventions from the federal government for the Ogun Subeb from as far back as 2008 had never been accessed until this administration came into power. But once the Ogun Subeb was able to have access to it, following the prompt payment of the counterpart funds by the state government, the 2008-2009 Subeb Intervention Fund has paid off greatly. With the funds, many dilapidated school structures that had hitherto been calling for attention were renovated, while new ones were also constructed, thereby creating a more conducive environment for learning. The Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Subeb, Honorable Isiaka Ibrahim, explains how the state government and the board were able to achieve the results gotten and what needs to be done to further sustain the projects.
Every 1 year or 2 years, assessment of their condition, we call it condition assessment, will always be done, so that it will not be until they fall apart before government will start rushing. So as long as this administration is going to last in this state, all those we have put in place will monitor that they continue to be habitable for the students.
From the implementation and conclusion of projects under the 2008-2009 Subeb interventions in the state, Ogun State has gained a new reputation in just a short time. Over 3 billion naira has been spent so far by the present administration on the 2008-2009 intervention. To ascertain what was actually done and ensure that the funds were judiciously utilized for what it was meant for, members of the Ogun Subeb embarked on a week-long projects monitoring, commissioning, and handing over of the structures to different communities in the 20 local government areas of the state. In the different local government areas visited, the people showed their appreciation by applauding the state government and Subeb for all the achievements made in such a short time. Pupils, students, and teachers of various schools came out in their numbers with songs and dances to welcome the entourage into their midst. Through the instrument of Subeb, over 1,500 schools have been renovated and reconstructed since this administration came on board. Just recently, 40 new blocks of classrooms were commissioned and handed over to their different communities. Local governments such as Ijebu North, Ijebu Northeast, Ijebu Ode, and Odogolu were among the many beneficiaries of the laudable projects. Other local governments which also benefited include Obafemi Owode, Shagamu, Ikenne, Remo North, and Ogun Waterside, amongst others. The State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Barrister Segun Odubela, commended the State Universal Basic Education Board for the success of the projects and implored everyone to imbibe the spirit of maintaining the infrastructure in order to serve its purpose.
Today I've shown that Subeb is actually working, and we thank them. And just like Baba said too, please, all the people that will be using this building and all those things that are in, please, let's ensure that that culture of maintenance, that we really exhibit it, and we ensure that we maintain everything that are contained therein. We must appreciate our governor for ensuring that education still enjoy the best that Ogun State can have.
In Ogun Waterside local government area, 2 different schools were given a total facelift. New blocks of classrooms were built in each of the schools. Ijebu East local government also benefited from the tremendous transformation exercise going on around the state educational system through the Subeb Intervention Project. The executive chairman of TESCOM, Barrister Olubukola Onabanjo, at one of the gatherings also charged the communities to be responsible for the well-being of their wards. The projects have also cut across schools in Ilaro, Yewa South Local Government, Ikpokia Local Government, Ayetoro, Yewa North Local Government, Imekoafon, and the state capital, Abeokuta. With all these, the challenges of classrooms congestion have been eliminated from numerous state government schools. The importance of the Subeb intervention cannot be overemphasized, but getting access to it requires commitment and foresight, which has been outrightly shown by the governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosun.
The governor has just paid the intervention fund for this, for the 2010-2011, to get about 3 billion naira, which we are going to start, the project of which we are going to start very soon. And the governor is even trying to source for fund for 2012-2013 June.
To complement the efforts of the state government, Subeb inaugurated a schools management committee comprising of non-governmental organizations and parents, teachers, representatives, amongst others. The committee was set up to ensure that at all times communities are given a sense of belonging and are closely monitored to ensure that they take care of school properties as they are expected to. Through Subeb, every part of the state is benefiting from improvements in the education sector. The Subeb Executive Chairman thus calls on the public to continue to support and cooperate with the government in ensuring that at all times they religiously guard, protect and help maintain government property in their vicinities. Teachers are also charged to live up to their responsibilities.
What we have done is just a little drop of water in an ocean. Education that has been neglected for over 5 years before we came. You just have to go gradually. And by the time we do this 2 or 3 times, and in most of the places you have been touched.
Words cannot describe the outstanding form the Gateway State is taking through the numerous projects of the government of Senator Ibikunle Amosun. Individuals are filled with gratitude and appreciation because hope has been restored where it has been lost. People in every part of the state are being carried along and are witnessing a new lease of life in all sectors of development, and education is not being left out. Revamping the sector and bringing back its old glory is a task this administration is not taking lightly.
About 5 years ago, we have been expecting this, but about 2 years ago, the intervention was done, and it was completed around January, because we moved into this building January 15 this year, 2013.
The current intervention is very good, is highly welcome, because they are trying to revive things that are damaged in the past. They are trying to bring education into the right place. They are trying to focus it as it is expected to be, to strengthen education, to increase, to improve the education.